What's going on, guys? Biff McBuffington here. That's right, I'm making my big comeback. By big, I mean I'm gonna make another like 5,000 view video if I'm lucky, and we can all trash on Schaub and probably trash on me too because these videos are pretty crappy. But anyway, here we are. This news is a little old at this point, but I do have a spin on this that we'll get into in a minute here. But if you're not familiar, uh, Brendan made a what we believe is a new podcast, Grabbing a Slice. Just based on the way this title is worded, it sounds like it's a new thing, presumably to replace the Food Truck Diaries. I guess we'll see. In this particular case, it seems a little different because this Mikey guy, he's kind of infamous for eating copious amounts of pizza in one sitting after intense jujitsu practice, which is sort of another topic, but I mean, it seems to be working for him. So, yeah, I'll just skip over that part. I mean, people get pretty passionate about that, but I don't really have an opinion. So anyway, so they're eating, they're talking, they're cooking, they're giggling, they're laughing, they're holding hands. Some of that might not be true, but you get the point. This video wasn't as terrible as I would say Schaub is normally qualified for. Like, normally it's actually painful to get through like a golden hour episode, but it wasn't quite that level. And don't misconstrue that this video, Schaub's video, I should say, was at best unnecessary. Like, this is just routine, mediocre content that'll just get, forgotten in a week. Which sort of brings me to my point here. There is a problem. Schaub isn't a draw anymore. And making a new podcast is not gonna fix that. Like, he can keep churning out videos, like making new podcasts. It's not gonna do anything. And I wonder if he's only doing it because of like the whole podcast one thing. Like, are they pushing him to do this, or does he actually think this is gonna work? I mean, I think the writing's on the wall at this point that people either don't know who he is and they're not gonna know who he is, or they know who he is and they're not interested. And I think most of us are in that second category. Like, I guess there's a very small, real Schaub fan base, but it's too small to really make a dent into this situation. So when this video came out, I watched it for research purposes and whatever. It was bland, uninteresting, probably like that pizza. That pizza actually looks decent. But yeah, so whatever. So I watched it, nothing of real note happened. But I was like, why is he trying to make another podcast? So I did a little bit of research, and bear in mind, I'm not one of the Fighter and the Kid subreddit experts, but I did find some stuff here. Like, these are all the podcasts that I could find, and this was just in like 5 minutes of research of, yeah, podcasts that they've like been on that are like deprecated and came back. Um, yeah, so these are like Callen's. So Callen, he had a Big and Hungry podcast with some guy who I think most of us probably never heard of. And that was pretty short lived. He's currently, I guess, doing an Off Limits, which I guess it's like this stuff, like all these. But I mean, I am literally doing better than he is in terms of views. and I crap out videos like once a month. Uh, and they're like I acknowledge these videos like aren't that good, but he's like trying to make like a job out of it. It's interesting. You can't see it, but I'm doing C clamps with my hands right now. That one's got some views. But the point is, these guys are they're like trying to forge like a new path, but the whole podcast thing, it's too bloated, it's oversaturated. There's too much. Like if I really wanted to look up America broken bureaucracies, I wouldn't click on this video. I would click on somebody else's video. Like, I mean, obviously I'm biased because I know Callen. Like, if anything, I would watch it to make a video out of it. I wouldn't watch this one if I was looking for like real information. And that's the thing. Like, the topic of America broken. I can't talk. America broken bureaucracies. There's probably a million videos on that topic, so he's just gonna get lost in the wash. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're going at this with the notion if they just try like a million new podcasts, like one of them is bound to work, which that is a tactic. Okay, so he has this like Patreon thing that he does out of his car. That might be like ancient history at this point. To be honest, I really don't know. He does. This is Callen. He semi-routinely is in Chris D'Elia videos, which is interesting because most of us remember that infamous day where Callen said that they weren't friends or something, which, I mean, we all knew that just wasn't true. But, I mean, now it's sort of like put on stage because, yeah, they're in an acting video. I don't see these guys getting acting gigs anytime soon. I mean, I I almost like feel a little bad for this video. I mean, it's like who would hire these guys at this point? Like these guys have like the most tarnished, rightfully so, reputations, and they're making like a video on how good they are at acting. Like unless they're like acting at the local 7-Eleven, I don't think anyone else is gonna hire them at this point. Um, so going back to this, yeah. So there's Toontown. That was a pretty much an unmitigated disaster. Golden Hour. Golden Hour can be amusing, ironically, just because of how the other two guys just rip into Schaub like pretty blatantly at this point. Schaub show. I haven't watched Schaub show ironically or for research purposes. I don't think ever. Fighter and the Kid, that's like the main one. Food Truck Diaries. That I guess that's getting replaced by this new pizza thing. So I don't know. So I don't know what the plan is, but like between Callen and Schaub, there's like 10 old or current podcasts. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. The one, the 10-minute podcasts that could be on here. So there's another one. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. You can let me know. I'm sure the list is much longer than this potentially. I'm sure they also beg Mr. Joseph Rogan for some podcast opportunities, which obviously Rogan doesn't want to touch that with a 1,000,000-mile long pole at this point. So, yeah, so I guess in conclusion to my pointless tirade, Schaub's trying a new podcast venture, we think, and it's not going to go anywhere because he's just not a draw anymore. So, yeah, that's the video. And sorry I was gone so long, but yeah, just some pointless real life stuff got in the way. And my last video was an Andrew Schultz video, which uh, people definitely didn't like that. if you're watching this video, you might not have seen that one. I have a feeling that one got like funneled into the Andrew Schultz algorithm, which is why the like ratio was like I I'm afraid to click on it because the comments were not they were not very positive, which whatever. I mean, I don't care if I get negative comments, but they were yeah, they were a little they were a little dicey, but whatever. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't care. So yeah, that was a video, and until next time, I will see you guys later.